What's going on, guys, man? Welcome back to SwampCast. I'm here with EJ. EJ, how are you doing, man? How's life? How you feeling after a nice Gator win?
We are feeling good on the West Coast. It's good. It's a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful morning to wake up with a rivalry win.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Before this, we only had one under Billy Napier. Dude, I had some coffee. I stood outside, watched the sunrise. You know what I mean? It was glorious. A little breeze in the air. You know, birds were chirping. Yeah, it's a great day, man. It's a great day. Yeah, like you said, rivalry win, which has been such an issue under Billy Napier's head coaching tenure here at the University of Florida. And we get a really good one. I feel like there's always one game a year for Billy that it's like, oh wow, this was a good win. You know what I'm saying? You can go back to every single season. But he's had two really good ones, I think. I think the Kentucky win was a really good win, a really good quality win, and now you have this one. So now, you know, he's making strides. I mean, which you know, there's a lot of stuff. I think the reason we lost against Tennessee was because of Billy Napier. And then, of course, we had the whole thing with DJ Lagway getting hurt, and that kind of hurt us too. So, you know, there was some rough points, but I think we're turning a corner here. I think a lot of it has to do with DJ Lagway, and we'll get into that in a little bit, of course. But huge win for the Florida Gators, man. 3:30 kickoff on ABC. LSU Tigers come into town, man. I love this time of year because the 3:30 kickoffs always end at night. So it's like half of a day game. It's still a little, you know, hot out. And then you get in that second half, and it's, you know, night game, a little chilly in the swamp. You know, it's loud. It's rocking. You can't go wrong with it, man. And then you had some really good big moments in this game, too, that I heard the stadium was just rocking last night, man, and the swamp was amazing. So always good to see. But, yeah, Gators get the win, man. Bring in LSU and win 27-16. Yeah, man, what a game. EJ, tell me the lead up to this game. I know you hang out with your San Diego Gator group. How was that? How was the experience, man? And, yeah, how do you feel about this game?
Man, we had a good turnout. You know, it's a 3:30 is a 12:30 game over here. But even, you know, the crazy thing is, even when the game ends at around 4:30, the sun's already on its way down. So it's kind of wild.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that. That's so weird, man. You guys have college game day at like 6 a.m. and then games start at 9. That's insane. That's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, it's well, you know, it's fun. Like if you want to do something at night, you know, you can do that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, the games over here go on till like 3 a.m. It's like, Jesus.
Right, exactly.
Like, you know, last night I'm over here watching, you know, John Jones and Stipe at the UFC, and I'm watching BYU at the same time. It was crazy.
Yeah, BYU, right, exactly. But I know we had a great turnout. We were really just excited to win this game. We had some people that were in town just for the weekend. They usually come to San Diego every year. So we were able to watch the game and get a big time win. We'll talk a little bit about it. It was a great game, a little bit frustrating in some forms. But you know, being able to pull out this win is huge for Billy Napier. He needed this one.
Oh, he needed it. Yeah. You know, and now we're probably going to be bowl eligible now. You know, this was a huge win, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, you look at Billy Napier's tenure, man, and he has such bad luck. You know, like you look at a lot of stuff, and it's just like he keeps getting put in the worst possible situation. And you know, I still think that everything that we were saying the past few weeks were still valid to say. But you do have to feel for the guy because he's been put in some of the worst situations, you know, as the head coach here at the University of Florida. So, yeah, he needed this win, and now you go into Ole Miss and you're going to Florida State. I bought tickets to the Florida State game. If it's a night game, I'm gonna go. If it's a day game, man, it's a 5-hour drive for me. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. I might just resell them.
Yeah,
that's gonna suck. But I bought tickets. You know, because I was like, you know what, I think we might get a win today, and this might be a bowl eligible, you know, kind of, bowl eligibility on the line type of game against Florida State. So I'm like, this might be a pretty fun one actually in Tally. So we'll see. Also, just seeing us hopefully beat them is gonna be great. But yeah, so like you said, just huge win for us. Great for the morale of the team too, man. It's funny. I guess we could talk about this now. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is a great game by Billy Napier and his play calling, whatever. And I think there were some really good play calls here. But I feel like a lot of this is DJ Lagway, man. I don't think it's a coincidence that ever since the Kentucky game, we've been a different football team. Really since the Tennessee game. I think a lot of that has to do with DJ Lagway. You know what I mean? You look at some of the greatest football teams of all time. There's usually one player that the whole team kind of comes around to. You know what I mean? The leader, the one guy that just brings an energy, right? A hope, not only to the fan base, but to the team. Another great example is Cam Newton in 2010, and sometimes it just takes that one guy to change a football team. And like I said, I think you got to give credit to Billy Napier, right, for building this program. But man, I don't think it's much of the play calling. I think it's really DJ Lagway affecting not only the players around him on offense, but also on defense. You know what I mean? There's just a different energy. And I don't think it's a coincidence that ever since he's been playing more, you've seen that. So yeah, I think, Lagway, who's not even 100%, didn't run the ball at all in this game. Did he even attempt one run?
He did. I got to look at the official stats to see if
Because like
he did, but
sacks,
I do not
yeah.
remember him attempting a single rush.
No, me neither. Which was so good for him as a player. You know what I mean? To be like, okay, Coach Napier's telling me not to run the football. I got to conserve my my left hamstring. I actually have to sit back and
Right.
read the field. And he did a pretty good job, man. We can go and dive right into the stats here for the game. DJ Lagway, 13 of 26, 226 passing yards. That's 9 yards completion, 1 touchdown. So the one thing about DJ Lagway is his completion percentage is never going to be good. Why? Because he's an aggressive passer, right? He's a guy who loves to take deep shots. He's a guy who loves to fit the ball in tight windows, and so you're not going to see a high completion percentage, which I would rather have 13 out of 26 for 226 than 24 out of 30 for 180. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that we've seen in the past. So it's a great stat line, man. Lagway came in, played a really, really good game, dude. Listen, I keep saying this all the time, but his positioning of his ball placement downfield is unbelievable. There was like 4 passes this game that he hit down the field, over the shoulder type passes, and they were just on the dot. Like, these receivers don't have to stop. It's so rare to see a quarterback. I don't think I've, at least in recent memory at the University of Florida, have seen a quarterback hit guys in stride like this. You know what I mean? Consistently. Richardson did not do that. Trask even did not hit these guys in stride like Lagway's hitting these guys in stride. It's unreal to see, man, and it's a special talent. His footwork's not even great. Like, his feet aren't even planted. They're not even positioned right. You know what I mean? The first passing touchdown of the game, he's running up, and it's just like, man, he is just an unbelievable player with so much talent. So yeah, great game by Lagway. There's still some things he needs to work on. One thing with Lagway is he reads high to low. So he looks at the safeties, looks at his deeper routes, and comes in. So if he likes a matchup down the field, he's going to take probably a harder throw if he likes that matchup compared to maybe an underneath route that's wide open. You know what I'm saying? So as a fan, how do you, and I want to ask the audiences, how do you feel about that? But also you, EJ, because I want to hear your thoughts on his performance and what do you think about that? Because, yeah, you can hit this underneath drag route, or this underneath crossing route wide open, or you could take a shot deep and maybe get a touchdown out of it. Maybe a 35, 40-yard completion, which we saw to the pass to, I believe it was Badger down the field when he got stopped at the 1-yard line. You had DK on a wide open underneath route with not a defender, 15 yards near him. But still, he liked that deep shot, and obviously, paid dividends. And it was a great play. So, what do you think about DJ's performance here? What do you think about what he brings to the team? He was injured and still played a phenomenal game.
Yeah. And now I know what it's like to have I think I hurt my hamstring at the gym the other day. So now I know what it's like to to be limping around here.
There you go.
But I want to touch on what you said about him bringing, I think you're right. He brings energy to the whole team. Um, I remember, uh, you know, even when I used to play football, like flag football or intramural football at UF, when you had a good quarterback, the defense just plays with so much more energy because they know that, hey, it's worth it if I get off the field. It means something if I can get this stop or if I can force this field goal, because that means when we get the ball, your boy's going to score. When you have Aiden Warner in that offense going out there, it's kind of like everything's on me. I can't rely on the offense, and then you get sort of demoralized as a defense. So just having DJ in the game is a tremendous energy boost for everybody involved. I think you're right. I think he's a true freshman. He still is, I don't know, maybe like 80% pre-snap reads right now, So when the formation's set and he's lined up, he's sort of, this is who I'm going to. And then when the ball snapped, we don't really have the full 100%, within the play progression and seeing, okay, I had three other routes going on and a dump down. Can I see what's going on during the play to be able to make a better judgment? Um, I think it's fascinating to watch a player who, when he knows, hey, this is my initial read, and he's able to get it there on time, on target, on stride. You could see the play developing even before he makes the throw. And there's really nothing you can do when a pass is that perfect.
Yeah.
He had a couple back shoulder passes, a couple of that one big time crossing route, kind of like a skinny post Elijah Badger. Just incredible, incredible accuracy. The 50% completion rate is still there because remember, Kentucky, he was 7 out of 14 this game, 13 out of
Yeah.
26. But let me tell you something. The value, that's the word of this game. Value. Um, when you look at, for example, points per minute of possession in this game, we outscored LSU by three times points per minute. 1.5 points per minute is what we scored per minute of possession. We scored 27 points. We had the ball for 17 minutes. LSU had 0.38 points per minute of possession, 41 minutes of possession, pretty much 42 minutes of possession, and came away with 16 points. So just the value per pass per possession with DJ is tremendous. And when he starts to improve reading defenses, getting to one, two, three reads, there's not a throw I think he can't make. And that's when this offense is really going to be um, de facto pretty unstoppable. If you can continue to run the ball the way that we are with those two true freshman running backs, this is going to be a tough offense to stop. Even Montrell Johnson was like, "Put me in, coach, for a couple carries."
He looked good, man.
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, 2 carries for 14 yards, man. He's 7 yards a carry. He was killing it. Yeah, well, and that's something that you brought up too. Like the time of possession in this game was unbelievable. It came out to be LSU having it 42 minutes and us having it 18 minutes. That is unbelievable, man. They had it more than double what we had. Um, and
Yeah,
and
just
our box score shows it. Like you were saying, like DJ Lagway, only attempted 26 passes, and we only rushed the ball 17 times in this game. 17 times. A Billy Napier
seven
Florida team. 17 times.
unreal.
And
Oh, and here's a crazy. Listen to this crazy stat
let's hear
with
it.
time possession. Fourth quarter, time of possession. Florida, 3 minutes. Time of possession, LSU, 12 minutes. Florida scores 14 points, LSU 3 points. Isn't that wild?
That's what you get when you have, Jaden Ball and his beautiful 55-yard run, dude. It was beautiful, man. That, well, honestly, like, it was so reminiscent of the Auburn and LaMichael P run, bounce to the
Oh yeah.
outside and
Yeah.
and just gone, and like, oh man. So I wish I was there for that game, because I can only imagine the swamp erupting with that, man. Puts the game away there late for us. But yeah, I mean, LSU, let's look at their stats compared to ours. Like I said, so we only threw the ball 26 times, rushed it 17. LSU, 48 attempts throwing the football and 44 attempts rushing the ball. That is unbelievable compared to our
Unbelievable.
26 and 17. And this is what you get when you got DJ Lagway in there, man, and when you have these young guys like Ball and Jackson. These are all true freshmen. Like, this is what's crazy. Like, I mean, you have it's unreal. It's unreal. And then you have some young guys in the receiving game as well for us. But yeah, just unbelievable game bias, and Jaden Ball, man. Like, it's so funny because when you look at this game, like, I was sitting there, I was like, man, like, we haven't really run the ball a lot, but we didn't really have the chance to, because we were throwing the ball down the field, or we just didn't have the ball, or didn't have possession of the ball. And then, yeah, Jaden Ball, man, just bounces it out to the outside and it's gone. And Jacoby Jackson had a really good run late in this game as well to help put it away. So yeah, man, just unreal all around by this offense. Just played a beautiful game. Elijah Badger as well, 6 receptions for 131 yards. That's 22 yards a catch with a touchdown. DK, 23 yards a catch, very effective. And then we threw it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different guys on this Florida Gator offense. So that's a great sign from a young quarterback in DJ Lagway. You know what I mean? He's actually
Yep.
distributing the ball to a lot of different players. That's probably also, we got to give credit to Billy Napier and his play calling, right? Getting it out to different guys, getting it to 3 different tight ends,
Yeah.
and his four receivers as well. So yeah, listen, this team next year, I think this gives us hope moving forward. Since we have such a young group. Really, really good job by this Florida Gator offense. Anything you want to add to this offense that jumped out at you, EJ?
Let's see. Elijah Badger coming back was a must for winning this game. He has a unique ability to him and Lagway just have a connection, right? And you could kind of tell Lagway feels most comfortable throwing the ball to him. He had 10 targets, 6 catches in this game. I believe he averaged 22 yards per reception, which is 4 yards less than what he was averaging coming in. But Badger is clearly the number one target for Lagway. The other thing that I really like to see is Lagway throwing to the tight ends. Livingston and Hansen both had huge first down catches in this game. Um, Typically, the tight end, is not your first read, So I think Hansen was probably the first read on the one pass over the middle.
Yeah.
Um, but it's really good to see those two guys getting in. Boardingham also had a catch, but it was a 4 yard catch. We also had a couple of dump downs to the running backs. When you start to see DJ Lagway get the ball to different position groups, that's really when you start to say, okay, there's really nothing we can do to stop this team, because when you line up and run it, you've got ball. And I was really happy to see him break it. It was bound to happen. Him breaking a big long run with his vision.
So
And he
good.
was able to do that. He's just really patient runner, and very powerful when he hits the
So
hole.
explosive. Yeah.
So explosive, and it almost looks like he's like on skates, almost like it doesn't look like he's running that fast. But when you look at it relative to the defensive players trying to come get him, he's actually moving pretty fast. So so he's just a very unique style runner. I'm still trying to figure out like who does he remind me of? Is it like a he's is he like an Emmett Smith type running back when Emmett used to run? It's just a great compliment, him and Jackson
Yeah.
running the football. But no, all in all, great performance by the offense. When DJ's able to go through those reads, we'll start to convert more of these third downs. Our third down conversion in the game was really not that great. I think we were like 37% or 33% in this game.
Yeah.
Gotta get to the 40s. National championship teams are almost always 40% or higher on third down conversion percentage. Um, and man, this was a great performance offensively. Uh, I don't really know if we can say Billy Napier had a really bad game offensive play calling wise. Um, I just think we need an offensive coordinator who's got some quarterback development background to really come and work with DJ next year. Uh, that's gonna be a game changer.
I agree. I agree. I mean, just even looking at this game compared to the Kentucky game. Remember the Kentucky? He did not hit one dump down at all. Like he was not looking, dude.
Right.
If there was a receiver, that wasn't, 15 yards down the
40,
field,
yeah.
yeah, he wasn't looking at him, dude. Not even looking at him. And so that's what I gotta respect. And I don't know if I don't know if it's Billy Napier, having a play design to where he has to, hit the underneath guy or what it is. Either way, he's going to get more comfortable with that, and he is getting more comfortable with it. But I agree.
Yeah.
This wasn't a bad called game by Billy Napier. It's actually one of his better, I would say, the past couple years. I would say his Tennessee game in 2022 is probably my favorite. That's when Richardson threw for like 461 at Neyland. It was
Oh
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So that was like a weird air raid game by Billy Napier, but yeah, this was a really, really what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, just very precise with his play calling. You know what I mean? Very situational. Did a
Yeah.
really good job with that. And you got to give him props. Like I've said in the past, he has like one or two good games every year where he has some good play calling, and then it kind of falls apart. When his game plan
Right.
falls apart, that's when it's an issue, right? And his game plan actually worked in this game. So that's the big difference with this game. So it worked out for him, and that's great. And when it works out for Billy Napier, it works out for Billy Napier. But yeah, huge game by the offense. Played really well. Did what they had to do. The blocking on the run game was pretty good, I would say, in this game. Gave the guys some holes. Montrell, like you were saying, had two really good runs, and his first run was like 10 yards. And man, that was a huge hole for him. He just went straight through it, man. Super explosive. So yeah, really good game overall by this Florida Gator offense, man. I'm excited to see what we do going forward here.
Yeah, and 17 rushes, like you said, but 6.6 per attempt. Um, Valuing each opportunity.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Hopefully going forward we lean into that, but this would be hard this weekend, of course, going against one of the best rush defenses in the country. But yeah, so really good game by the offense. EJ, anything else you wanna expand on there before we dive into the defensive play?
Nope, just hopefully we can baby Jesus can continue to heal that hammy here.
Yeah. No, honestly, man. Because if DJ can start running again, man, oh man, it'll be dangerous.
Right. Oh, and one other
Yeah.
thing. The offensive line, I forgot to 0 sacks given up in this game to a quarterback that they knew they had to protect. They knew they could not allow a DJ to get hit. So what a game by them. That I mean, just an incredible game. And like I said, when you have a quarterback back there that you know is going to bail you out and make plays, it makes you want to get out there and put somebody on their backside as an offensive lineman, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. No, yeah, they were very physical. That was something
Yep.
that definitely jumped out at me. I'm with you there, man. So yeah, great. It's just the energy in the swamp last night was unreal, and it was really good to get a win against a rival. Man, I hate LSU, so much. So yeah, nice little win there. Actually, I want to talk about my keys to the game. I totally forgot about this. Yeah, I had two keys to the game. One was 5 yards carry. Hey, we did that. Love to
Hey,
see it. We
blew
hit
that out the
something there.
water.
Yes, sir. And then 5 plays of 20 plus yards, which we had. So that is amazing. Really good to see there. We at this time as well, we weren't sure if Lagway was going to be playing or not. I was a little worried. I thought we were really going to
Right.
have to rely on the run game, which honestly, it looked like if we needed to, we might have been okay. Like the run game just looked dirty. So it was nice. But yeah, those are my two keys to the offense of game plan coming in, and we hit both of them. So there we go.
Nice.
Cool. So let's talk about this Gator defense, man. Let's go look at some of the stats here. Let me pull this up on the PowerPoint as well for everybody. There we go. All right. So Garrett Nussmeier coming into this game was a Heisman favorite actually in the first like 4 games of the season, and that kind of got thrown out the window because he's been playing horrible. He was 27 of 47 for 260 yards, averaging 5 yards a pass and 1 touchdown. AJ Swan came in, old Vanderbilt quarterback, just for one play after Garrett Nussmeier was hurt and he had to come out for a play. But yeah, Garrett Nussmeier, man. You know, kind of like I said going into this game, very comfortable with the center of the field with medium range passes that I was talking about, and that's what he really liked doing. I mean, that first drive, he was hitting a lot of those medium range, which is like about 10 to 20 yards. He was seeing a lot of those passes early on, especially on third down, which we'll get to. But yeah, just finding those open guys in the center of the field. And a lot of it too was one-on-one matchups. Florida played a good amount of man defense in this
Yeah.
game, and which I liked, man. We were playing aggressive, and we had some one-on-one matchups that we won a lot in this game. But then there's other times where we had Mason Taylor against a linebacker, and then that didn't go good, or they had these nice one-on-one matchups that they created on the offensive side for LSU, and they came in and played pretty well. So, but obviously, just later on in the game kind of fell apart in the second half, but they did do a pretty good job managing the game there and finding holes in this Gator defense, also finding those matchups. So what do you think about the passing game against our defense in this game, EJ? Anything jump out?
Yeah, I mean, uh, it was it was painful watching third down conversion the first 3 quarters of this game.
Yeah.
I mean, this was third and Grantham on steroids. I was joking around with you. I was like, if every play was third down for LSU, like the coaches should just go to the players and just say, "Hey, it's pretend it's third down," and they would have been up
Pretend it's
35
third
nothing.
down.
They would have been up
Yeah.
35 nothing
Yeah.
at halftime.
Yep.
They were 10 of their first 14 third down conversions, and then when we
Jesus.
got to the later in the game, they were 3 for their last 10. So we were able to get some stops. We even had 2 sacks on 2 of those third down misses for them. I do think that watching this game, missing Marshall and Moore at the cornerback position is a significant liability for the team. We had a couple of guys, in the game, Denson and who's my other guy? Denson
You
and
got Dijon Johnson too on the outside.
Dijon Johnson. Um, it- doing what they can. But I think their lack of just experience, really hurt on some of those crucial third down plays, covering the wide receivers. But I don't think that Florida's defense really played um, that aggressively in the first half. I think we played very like a base level defense. Let's keep everything in front of us. And I think they did that largely because I don't think they felt threatened by LSU's ability to be disciplined in their balance. When you look at this LSU team, and I kind of wrote this down, LSU this year reminds me a lot of the Notre Dame teams that Brian Kelly used to coach. I mean, they're a solid team, like really good relative to the rest of the country, you know, but not explosive, not, too flashy. They're just not too high, not too low, just a good team, not a great team. And that's something that I think we were able to take advantage of with the defensive line. Tyreek Sapp um, and Aaron Childs just really had just
It was
an
good seeing
incredible
Aaron
game.
Childs in this game, man. Where's he been? He's been on the team for like 2 years, man. I don't know, it's crazy. It's good to see him
Yeah,
out there.
he came in and had some really high value moments. Shamar James obviously just had a phenomenal game as well. So did Jack Pyburn. But
Gums as
um,
well. Gums was amazing. Number
oh,
34, dude.
mm,
Getting a good sack there, tackle for loss. Yeah, just had a really, like you said, overall, man, the front seven was really really good. Seven
yeah,
sacks is I think it's the most sacks since 2019.
yeah, and the thing is, LSU only they had one of the best offensive lines in the country. They only gave up 6 sacks against Nussmeier all season, and they gave up 7 in this one game. I think that had to be one of my keys because I'm like, if we can get at least 3 sacks a game,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that is the key to victory.
Yep.
Um, but holding the coverage when we can't get pressure is something that you need good corners for, and that's kind of what hurt us. But later in the game, for some reason, our defensive line was maybe the time of possession, it has kind of a reverse impact. Your O line kind of got a little bit tired. LSU late in that game trying to continue to pass block. And when Florida knew that LSU was just going to try to throw it, they were able to get underneath those blocks and come after um, Nussmeier. But, red zone defense, both teams only had the possession of the ball once each inside the actual red zone, which is
That's crazy.
kind of wild. LSU only was able to get one field goal out of their time in the red zone. It was a huge stop for Florida. Florida scored a touchdown when they got it in the red zone. And yeah, I mean, overall, we got to clean up this third down defense. Um, got to get off the field. The time of possession was so lopsided early in the game because of our inability to get a stop. And these weren't like 3rd and 1. I could see if it was like, okay, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. These were like 3rd and 8 on average. And every single time it was a conversion. We gotta clean that up. LSU only punted the ball twice in this game. That can't, that's not a recipe for success.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's unreal. Um yeah, I mean like you said, just the defensive line, man, stepping up. They listen, what's crazy is like we don't really have like a key pass rusher. You know what I'm saying? Like like in previous
Yeah.
Florida teams, like we've always had a guy that was always in the backfield, right? That was supposed to be I think it's Justice Boone. I don't know his first name exactly. But Boone is a guy that got injured yeah, Justice Boone got injured last year, right? At the beginning of the season, before the season started, in fall camp, and it was supposed to be him and Princely, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be dirty." They're like, "Boone is unreal. He's always in the backfield." People are going wild, and then he got injured, and they were like, "Oh man, now we really got to rely on Princely," And Princely still did his thing, and then you go into this year, and Boone's healthy, and he's just like he's very inconsistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's getting outplayed by guys like LJ McCray and some of these other, younger guys, and he's not on the field all the time. So, I don't know what's going on with him. But like I said, I mean, the talk around fall camp last year was that this guy is the next, Dante Fowler and going to be back there all the time, and that's not
Yeah.
happening. So, kind of back to what you were saying, the fact that we're getting this much pressure when we don't have a key guy is unbelievable. I mean, Tyreek Sapp, people, I don't know if I'd go this far. People are comparing him to, Javon Curse and how he's just
Mhm.
this guy that's everywhere on the field, and I agree, man. I mean, he has just been very consistent in the past few years and has stepped up this year in that interior defensive line when it comes to, I mean, his tackling and his run defense is really good. Getting in the backfield's been really great. Very athletic for his size. So Gums as well, a smaller guy, but his pass rush is really, really good for his size. Pyburn as well. We have a really, really good front seven here. And like you said, they stepped it up late in this game when LSU was trying to take some of those deeper shots.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really good game. I'm with you, man, by the front seven. I mean, linebacker play in the pass game was good at times and then not good at times. And a lot of that had to do with a really good game plan by the LSU offensive coordinator and getting those matchups that they wanted. But this Florida Gators secondary too, man. I want to talk about them. Like you said, it sucks because you don't have Jason Marshall and you don't have Jason Marshall, Jakeem Jackson, Asa Turner back there at safety, and Devin Moore. Those are four starters out in our secondary that we don't
Yeah.
have, which is unbelievable. So we got guys playing corner that aren't even corner, and so there's a lot going on, but yeah, man. I mean, look, I hate calling people out, but Jordan Castell, a guy who made a really good play in this game, but other than that, was very, very liable, man. And the run game coming down, to tackle. He had a couple coverages in the back and in the secondary that he just. Sometimes it just looks like he doesn't know what his assignment is, and maybe that's just the play call not getting uh, repeated to him. I don't know, but we just look lost out there at some points, and that just can't happen. And there were some deep shots in this game by LSU that were because of a lack of communication with our safeties. So our safety play has been rough the past couple years, but specifically this year has not been great. So I think overall we played pretty well in the back end, but I think we also got to give a lot of that to, like you were talking about, our defensive line and our front seven getting to Garrett Nussmeier when LSU, their offensive line has done a really good job this year. But yeah, great job overall, I think, by this defense. We haven't even talked about the run game and stopping the run. If you want to dive into that, EJ.
Yeah, for sure. I think George Gums, like you were saying, gave us some quality minutes because Pup Howard, typical
Yes.
starting linebacker, was out, and so Gums really came in and gave us some quality minutes in this game. Um, so when you're looking at the run defense, just overall, you, you can kind of you can kind of see here. Um, we were able to hold them to 130 yards, total rushing yards, and 3 yards per carry. That's a huge, huge stat. In the SEC, when you're playing this schedule that we're playing this year, um, that's another thing. Another friend of mine was saying how, well, I don't remember back in the Spurrier days, we never had all these injuries. And so I was kind of like, well, you also didn't play like six top 10 teams either, like in a row, and that's not even including UCF and Kentucky. And I don't even think it includes this LSU game, teams that are still really, really physical. And, they may not be a top 10 ranked team, but they're still a very physical team. And playing this type of schedule over the course of, you know, 14 weeks, it does take its toll on you. And you're seeing a couple teams with some big time attrition. And so when it comes to run defense, how can you keep your guys fresh, getting a good rotation in there of, you need at least a good 16 to 20 guys in the front seven that you can rely on. Obviously, your starters are going to get a bulk of the snaps. But when you're playing a game where a team has 92 freaking snaps of the football, you've got to have a deep team. And Tyreek Sapp, Desmond Watson both had exceptional. Miles Graham also. Those were the three guys that had sort of above average run defensive games according to PFF. Cam Jackson, Jack Pyburn obviously did an exceptional job. Cam Jackson, I think, uh, more so was able to on his 18 rush defense runs defended. He was able to get first contact, allowing guys like Pyburn and who's this Gums to come in and actually finish with the tackle. So really, really good. We also had some good run defense from the safeties in this game, not giving up any big plays. I don't think LSU had a single play in this game other than the touchdown pass of over 30 yards in this game. And I don't even think that one was 30 yards. But just a great performance, keeping them bottled up. One of the things that I was really, really, really worried about was when we got into the second half, I think it was tied at halftime. When we got in the second half and we're sitting there, they have 80 plays and we had 38. I think they flashed. I was like, we're not going
Jesus.
to be able to, they're going to be running all over us in the second half because of our inability to get off the field. It comes back to haunt you. But the way that the guys that came off the bench to get just some quality minutes for the starters um, really was high value minutes for the team. So um, overall, really great performance by the defense. To your point, though, this year in the transfer portal, we have got to go out and get three guys at each level that can potentially be game changers out of the portal if that's even out there. I'd rather we develop our own guys, but we're gonna play a team in Ole Miss who has a Louis Vuitton defensive line because they went out in the portal and they got guys like Princely and Monmielen to come out and be game changers on their defense. And that's pretty much what we have. And we'll talk a little about them. That's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to go out and figure out a guy who can really change the game. I know we invested a lot in Joey Slackman from Penn, but
Where's he
that's
been?
yeah, I that's
Crazy.
just not going to when you're playing a schedule like this, you need a Jonathan Grenard,
Hmm.
who is that guy that Ja'Kai Polite? I don't know if y'all remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was every single snap, he was coming around that corner like he'll be
He didn't
coming
know where he
around the
was.
corner.
He didn't know where
Yeah,
he was, but he got back there.
he was coming around that
Yeah.
corner so fast. You're gonna need to get a guy that can do that. That the other team is gonna actually have to say, we're gonna need to actually game plan, like double team him. Linebacker, we're also going to need to go out and get another dog at linebacker. I really like the Pup Howard pickup. He's played really, really
That
well.
was huge.
But another Jack Pyburn would be great. A guy that's just solid, plays really, really hard, does not miss tackles, is always where he's supposed to be. And then you got to go out and get another Aaron Gates in the defensive backfield, a guy that can cover, intercept the ball, and tackle. Even
Yeah.
though Gates did miss a couple tackles in this game that I was really surprised he
That that
never usually
that wasn't his
misses.
fault though. That was LJ McCray. He was supposed to hold the edge, bro. I like I'll give that because I said the same thing. I was like, bro,
Okay,
I
you're
was
taking up for him. You're
yeah,
taking up
no,
for your boy.
no. I was like, I can't believe you missed that because I said the same. I know exactly what play you're talking about where he just totally whiffed it. I was like, no
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And then I watched it again, and LJ McCray, he's a young guy, he's a true freshman, really talented, but he just like just gets rid of the edge and just cuts back inside, and he leaves that left side wide open. So I was like, okay, I was like, to give it to Aaron Gates, like that was McCray's fault, 100%. But yeah, no, I agree. There was another one too that he missed, but to your point, very reliable guy. You want a guy like that.
Yeah, you got, and so we got to hit the portal, get those guys. But you know what? If you got DJ Lagway coming back, your defense is going to play really, really hard. And I think one more year of experience with the guys that we have, you can start to have a defense that can get after the passer and get stops with an offense that really can put points on the board with the time of possession that they have. When you look at our stats right now, and I know we're going to talk about the Ole Miss game, but they're very indicative of a team that's 5-5. I mean, 28 points per game scored, 26 given up. We're actually outgained. We give up 401 yards a game, and we only get 383 yards a game with our offense. So when you have a differential like that where it's so close, you get 5-5. When you get a team like Ole Miss, which we're going to see in a couple seconds here, their stats are really indicative of a team that should be 10-0. I mean, when you're outgaining everyone 2-1, you're outscoring everyone 3-1. Typically, those teams they don't lose. So I'm actually pretty surprised that this team has 2 losses. But LSU, when we looked at them going into the game, we both said statistically we match up well with this team, and given DJ Lagway, put him in the game, he can take the top off, meaning he's a threat to score at a much higher rate than it's not Doug Nussmeier. What's
Garrett?
Garrett, sorry.
Yeah.
Doug's his dad. Sorry. We're still traumatized from the Doug Nussmeier,
oh Jesus,
Will Muschamp years. But great performance by the defense. I think can we continue to be healthy? I mean, this Ole Miss game, we just got to stay healthy, man. We got to go to Tallahassee with our guys.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Got to stay healthy, and yeah, because I want that win more than anything, man. If we can't, I don't want to talk about. We'll talk about that next week, but we definitely need a win right there for sure. So yeah, that's kind of our thoughts, I would say, on the LSU game, man. I mean, really, really good game. I think a lot of it has to do with DJ Lagway and that energy that he brings to the football team, and I think you're really starting to see that shine. All right, let's dive into Ole Miss, the Ole Miss Rebels. This is a pretty scary team, I would say, man. We could definitely look at everything. Look at some of their stats real quick. Ole Miss, obviously, 8-2, 2 losses, one coming to LSU, one coming to Kentucky early on. That was a big upset at home. A really crazy game. Really wild one. And then you look at Kentucky now, and they're garbage. So that was just one of those fluke games. Ole Miss, a team that has not been able to run the ball like they have in the past. They can still run the football, but not to the extent that they have in the past. Like when they had Judkins back there, you know what I mean, last year, and a couple other guys, like they were, really, it was almost 50-50 with running the ball and passing it. This year, they've really, really leaned in to throwing the football. Jackson Dart, 3,400 passing yards so far in 10 games. Unbelievable, man. Their wide receiver 1, Trey Harris, is a guy that's, coming up to 1,000 yards receiving this year, and he's averaging 17 yards a catch. If you look at the whole receiving list here, man, Trey Harris averaging 17 yards a catch, Caden Lee averaging 17 yards a catch, Antoine Wells 21 yards a catch, or Jordan Watkins, to 21, and then Antoine Wells 19. Unbelievable, man. When these guys complete passes, these are down the field passes. I have a bunch of stats I want to dive into, but before I do that though, rushing as well. Henry Parrish is their main guy, with Jackson Dart also running the ball a lot this season because he's always in play action pass situations. So he always has that ability to run the football. Defensively, and they just look crazy as well. Second best rush defense in the country. They are susceptible to passes, to their secondary kind of getting dotted up on, which we have seen in the past, but overall, really, really good defense. So that's kind of my overall, feel on the football team. EJ, what have you seen from Ole Miss this year? How do you feel about this football team?
Statistically, this is a top five team. I mean, you when you just look at and it's funny how football and basketball are so related when it comes to key stats. When you have in basketball, when you have a top 10 offensive efficiency and top 10 defensive efficiency team, you're a Final Four team. UConn, why have they won back-to-back national championships? Because they have one of the best offenses in the country when they points per possession, one of the best defenses in the country points per possession in basketball. Ole Miss has taken that same philosophy and they've applied it to football. So this is a team that I mean it's unreal. When you look at their points per play, this is a huge stat that I love. Um, when we played LSU, we had we were coming into the game averaging 0.45 points per play. We had 0.63 points per play in the game. LSU came into the game averaging 0.43. They ended up with 0.17, which was an all-time high defensive performance for us. Um, at least this season, I'd probably say in the Billy Napier era, I don't think we've had a 0.17 points per play. But the Ole Miss defense on the season, okay, 0.18 is their average. So it's kind of like imagine the Florida defense, our performance from a value standpoint against LSU to have 92 plays run against us and only give up 16 points. Well, Ole Miss pretty much does that every single game. For every 90 plays, they're giving up 14 points, which is insane. They give up 13 points a game on average. Um, Now, I do think that a lot of their defensive stats are based on uh, what their offense does. When you have an offense that scores as quickly as they do and is as efficient as they are, the other team's offense typically throws the playbook out of the window and has to change up their game plan and go and do things that are unconventional, right? And that allows the Ole Miss defense to tee off, come after you, try to get sacks, and that's pretty much what we see right now with this Ole Miss defense. And the other team, just the second half of the game, they typically just fall apart. But looking at this Ole Miss team, how you can stop them um, really relies on what Florida did against LSU. You have to have an athletic front seven. If you don't have athletes in your front seven to be able to slow down the run with your front four, and then at least get around the tackles to get in guarding position against dump offs and then against Jackson Dart potentially running because he runs the ball and scramble his runs are basically scrambles. He does do some designed runs, maybe one a game, but a vast majority of the 70 runs that he's had this year have been him. Oh, nobody's open. Boom. Let me get 6, 7, 8 yards per attempt. Um, if you don't have the ability to do that with your front seven, the Ole Miss team is going to exceed their offensive output, which is already 539 yards a game and 41 points a game.
Jesus.
The two teams that were able to do that against them were Kentucky and uh who's it? LSU.
Yep.
So when it came down to it, Kentucky's front seven controlled the game. They stopped the run, and so did LSU. Um, the only difference I think that it comes down to it is Kentucky took a run heavy approach and took the ball away from Ole Miss from a time of possession standpoint. Our our philosophy is more of a quick strike, 2 or 3 plays, we're down the field. You've got to try to wear down that Ole Miss defense, um, which that was Kentucky strategy and LSU strategy. Um, if Ole Miss's defense is fresh the whole game because they have the ball and you can't get off the field on third down, and then when they put their defense out there who's fresh, we're really going to struggle in this game. So I'm happy that it's in the swamp. I'm happy that DJ Lagway's playing. It gives us a great chance. But Shakira said hips don't lie, stats don't lie either, and it's not looking great from a statistical standpoint. This game will all come down to the game plan. Billy Napier has put together some decent game plans this year. Can he do the same thing? And can he actually call good plays within the game to give us a chance? But statistically, this is looking like when we play Texas.
Yeah.
The only difference is we have DJ Lagway playing in this game, whereas Texas, we didn't.
And he could be the factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, he could be a huge factor.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about this offense is, with Graham Mertz, if you're down by 2 possessions with 5 minutes left, you're not winning that football game. If you're down 2 possessions with 5 minutes left, you have DJ Lagway at quarterback. This guy can throw a bomb down the field, and then it's a 1-possession game, get the ball back, 1 play, then, it's tied. So that's something that is a positive, but like you said, when you have defenses that have struggled against teams that are chipping away at them, and the only way that we chip away at teams is with our run game, which they have been amazing against. They've only been allowed, I have it written here somewhere, I think they're only allowing like 70 yards, right? What is it? Let's see. You have it right here on the stat sheet. Rushing yards
79.
per game, 79, 80 yards. That's insane.
And 2.2 per attempt. That's got to be like top 5.
And not even averaging a rush touchdown a game. That's insane. Yeah, that's scary. So 30% on third down as well. Yeah, man, it's gonna be one of those games that we're just gonna have to have some kind of explosive nature because I don't know if we can really rely on the run game. Good news is we have 3 running backs now healthy that are really good.
Pound them.
That's what I'm saying. These are SEC quality caliber running backs that would be starting on other SEC teams. So that's really good, which means that these guys can stay really fresh, and that if we want to give each of them, 8 yards, or not 8 yards, but 8 attempts at carrying the football, we could do that in this game and still get some good plays out of it. So that is something that we can look at, offensively. But let's dive into the Florida Gator or Florida Gator offense versus the Ole Miss defense. So I have that up on the screen for the PowerPoint. So yeah, this Ole Miss defense, really, really good, obviously. The rush defense is second in the country, allowing just, like you said, 80 yards a game on the ground. But their pass defense is 83rd in the country. So that is something that we can kind of look at, only allowing, allowing 230 yards passing a game. Good news is Lagway's been hitting over that quite a bit. So that is something that we can take advantage of. Only bad thing is with DJ in these football games, every single game that he's been in and that he's played in, really, when you think about it, he's only started in 2 really, actual games fully. He's had a rush game in both of those games. there's been a run game that he's been able to rely on at some points. So that's a little scary. We haven't seen DJ having to put a game on his shoulders yet, and that our full game at least, and that's going to be really interesting to see. So can we still take advantage throwing the football and take advantage of this pass defense that Ole Miss has been struggling with, without maybe a very good run game in this football game. So that's kind of the story of the game, or one of the stories of the game, I would say, is how is DJ going to play without a run game he can rely on? And listen, no telling, maybe we do have a run game in this game, right? But I'm just saying we can't come into this game with that as a game plan. You know what I'm saying? We have to come into this game thinking, okay, we're only going to get about 100 yards maybe on the ground. I would say, even though they're only allowing an average of 80, I would say we get probably 100 on the ground. So can we only get 100 on the ground and still have DJ Lagway be consistent in the air? So just something that I'm very curious to see defensively for the Florida Gators. Against the Ole Miss defense. Another thing is pass blocking. Can we give DJ time? Listen, it looks like DJ, he moved around the pocket really well against LSU. It looks like he's pretty healthy. Obviously with that band that was on his left hamstring, looked like it was keeping him upright. So we'll see what happens here. Look, man, I think penalties are going to be huge as well for this Florida Gator offense. We struggled against LSU early on. We had like 6 penalties in the first quarter, first couple drives, something crazy like that. So can we not have false starts? Can we be disciplined, not have any holds? Because if we get behind the sticks, man, and if it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, we're not going to be converting that. I mean, they're only allowing 30% on third down conversions this year for their defense, and we're only on offense for averaging 37%. Which means that we're probably going to be pretty close to that 30%, maybe 28% on third down in this game. The way that we can avoid that is getting it 3rd and short. Right, having good 1st and 2nd down plays, right, getting us comfortable, not making DJ nervous, because I'll tell you right now, as we know in the game of football, if it's 3rd and 12, that pass rush is going to be nasty. Those guys are hungry to get to that quarterback, and that quarterback in DJ Lagway is going to have to sit in the pocket longer for those longer routes to develop, unless Napier wants to do his 5-yard hitches. But yeah, so we'll see. We can't get behind the markers, man. We're going to have 3rd and short in this game. My keys for this Florida offense against this Ole Miss defense is we need to have 280 passing yards. Lagway needs to have a great game, which really isn't that crazy when you look at it. I know that passing yards per game, they're only letting up 230, but Lagway is consistently hitting over 250 a game around there, right? So if he has a really, really good game, I could see him having 280 passing yards, which by the way, even in the Kentucky game, our time of possession wasn't really that great, right? So all I'm saying is, look, if we can control time of possession, have the ball for a good amount of time, I could see him reaching the 280 mark. And I'm gonna tell you right now, with how explosive this Ole Miss offense is, right, on these deep shots down the field, they're not gonna have the ball for a lot of time. So I could definitely expect Lagway to have the ball in his hands more, which I feel like can lead to more passing yards. So I think 280 is a good mark for him to hit. And also I think 4 yards a carry in the run game. I know that's not a lot, but we're going to have to hit that. That is a lot considering they're only allowing 2.2. So if we can average, double of what they usually allow and get 4 yards a carry, that means that, we have a run game that we can rely on, right? We're not, I would say then at that point, we're not behind the marker. You know what I mean? We're consistently in 3rd and medium, 3rd and short. If we can have 4 yards a carry. So those are my 2 offensive keys coming into this game. EJ, do you have anything you want to add to this Florida Gator offense?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I think at the end of the day, we are averaging 27 minutes time of possession for our offense in the game per game, which means our defense is on the field longer on average. Can we have the ball? Can we make that 50-50 in this game? Can we have 30 minutes to 30 minutes time possession? Meaning, Let's be patient early in the game. Let's run the ball early in the game. Let's not get behind the sticks with stupid penalties early in the game. When you go back and you look at just a few games that might give us something for our offense. The Kentucky, like I said, they played keep away. So they had the ball actually 40 minutes in that game against Ole Miss to Ole Miss's 20 minutes time of possession. LSU was able to keep it sort of 50-50. They had it 28 to Ole Miss's 32. But the crazy thing, geez, even against LSU and Kentucky, neither of them rushed the ball for over 100 yards in this game. Uh, Kentucky 93, LSU 84. LSU averaged 3.5 yards a rush, Kentucky 2.9. But it's just, it looks like it's just tough sledding trying to run the football against Ole Miss. If we can run the ball I'm giving it 120 yards in this game, that's a huge step in the right direction. I think when you look at our strength of schedule and strength of record, what that's basically telling us is um, the value of our stats relative to the rest of the top 25. So it's saying that we're pretty much a top 25 team when you look at the yards per game that we're able to gain against our opponents. And that's largely because we do, average almost 400 yards a game. And Ole Miss is going to be our sixth top 15 team that we would have played this season. So you get it's a high value that you can do if you can do that against defenses like Tennessee and Georgia and Kentucky. You most likely can do it against a team like Ole Miss. The dynamic, though, that Ole Miss brings to the table that LSU and Tennessee and Kentucky did not bring to the table is a quarterback that is in the top 10% in the nation in value per pass. I mean, they are averaging 11 yards per attempt, which is national championship level efficiency passing. DJ Lagway would be, if he can get his completion percentage beyond 50%, he'd be killing that number of 11 yards. He'd be like at 16, 17 yards if he had the same completion percentage as Jackson Dart, who's close to like 68% completion percentage. So think about that. Lagway, if you can complete 60% of your passes in this game, I mean, we'd be right there with Ole Miss. The one thing though that I'm noticing on PFF when it comes to Lagway that kind of gives me a little heartburn for the offense going against the defense against Ole Miss is successful targets. So there were like two plays in this game against LSU where he's looking at his first read, which we talked about, and he threw it, but then the defense was miraculously phased into the picture and dropped a wide open interception. So Ole Miss, they don't really drop interceptions. So if you have a play like that against Ole Miss, it can go south pretty quickly because you're talking about a team that scores when they get in the red zone, they score after you turn it over, and they run and they throw and they sack you. So you cannot throw passes over the middle when you're not reading the defense. Okay. That's going to be a disaster. So if we can, those are my three keys. Prevent the disastrous read where you think somebody's open and then they back up the lineman and who thankfully for LSU can't catch, but I actually think that was a linebacker. We have got to get 30 minutes time of possession in this game, and we've got to run for 120 yards. If we can do all three of those things, I'm not saying we'll win, but we will be in the game, very similar to Kentucky, very similar to LSU, very similar to Oklahoma when Ole Miss played Oklahoma. If we turn it over and we give them the ball right there, the game's going to look a lot like the Arkansas game that they played, where it was like 63-35. They just score every time they get it. And we'll score like every other time we get it. And by the time the game's over, it's they have double the points that we do. So that's pretty much how we've got to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I think as long as we're in it, then we have a good chance to win the game in the sense if you have DJ Lagway at quarterback. You know what I'm saying? If it's that one possession game, if they're only up by 4 points, they're only up by 3, and you got Lagway back there, he can, and you got Elijah Badger and DK and Mizell and all these guys, they can make plays, they can get open. And
Yes.
that's the hope. I totally agree. Is just I think that was a really really good key, man. Is just stay in the game, keep it a one possession game, right?
Stay in the game.
And if you keep this game a one possession game going into the fourth, I think the Swamp's gonna be rocking, and that's something that was my keys to the game. To the previous games in the Swamp was I was at the Miami game. I was at Texas A&M game. Those are the two quietest games I've ever heard the Swamp in my life. Why? Because we were down 10-0 in the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, it was 10-0 in both those games. And listen, you can't have that, man, because then people are already leaving at halftime. You know what I mean? The crowd's not in it. It's quiet. It's pretty much a home game for the other team, right? So, and for some reason, some other the away teams have been traveling pretty good to the Swamp this year. So we have to stay in this game so the crowd can stay in it, because the crowd can be a factor. The crowd will be a factor.
100%.
I got a lot of buddies that are going to this game. It's a huge game. People are ready. I think that this will be another big turnout for Gator Nation. It's going to sell out. This will be our 12th consecutive sellout for sure. Don't know how we're selling these games out, but whatever. And it'll be rocking, man. It's going to be rocking. So I'm really excited to see what happens. So I like that key a lot. Something else that I think is important going into this one, which we can dive into, is the Florida defense against this Ole Miss offense. So let's go ahead and go over to that PowerPoint slide here. There we go. Look, man. This is the scary part. So you might have to close your eyes for some of this, guys. Like you said, total yards per game, 540 yards per game is unbelievable. That is insane. You can't even fathom that at all. We're letting up over 400 yards a game, so that's not good. Points per game, they're averaging 40. Now, their strength of schedule is 29. Florida's defense is 2. So that's that's kind of good to look at. And a lot of these stats are going to be weird because of the Texas A&M game and the Miami game. This is a very different team. You know what I mean? Very different defense. They're playing with a different energy. So that is something to kind of think about. But yeah, man, we're actually also, they're averaging 70 plays a game. We're on defense letting up 70 plays a game. So that's definitely going to be around that time. So I have a lot of stats here I want to kind of go through, man. So look, Ole Miss, like I said, they can run the football when they want to run with it. And whenever I would say they're most successful running the ball is when it's Jackson Dart with the ball in his hands. Like you were saying, because the majority of plays that they run on this offense, passing plays, are play action plays. He's always doing play action, which means that those linebackers are coming up and then they're running back to go defend. And when they turn their bodies and they're running back, Jackson Dart's going. So that is a big key to this game and this whole season for Ole Miss was running the football with Jackson Dart. So they haven't been really super reliant on the run game other than that with some of their other guys. They still got some really good running backs on this group. Like I said, they have Henry Parrish Jr. and Matt Jones and a couple other guys back there. Bentley's back there as well. Has been there for a long time. but they haven't really, I guess, needed to rely on the run game. It's funny, you go on PFF and their run grades are really down on whatever, but it's because they haven't had to rely on the run game. I mean, Jackson
Right.
Dart's throwing for 300 yards a game, whatever it is, and so they're just going off. Yeah, look at this, passing yards per game, 365 yards a game. That is unbelievable. That is crazy. And we're on defense letting up 240 yards a game. So, look, when you have a guy throwing for over 350 a game, I mean, you don't have to really run the football, right? You got a lot going on, and you're averaging, 11 yards per pass. So bad news is the Florida secondary has been susceptible to pass-heavy offenses. You can go back to the Miami game, right when we had healthy guys. That was a rough one. Cam Ward throwing dots on us. You have, I know we were more injured last week, but you have Quinn Ewers, going crazy on us as well. The thing is, and you mentioned earlier, EJ, it is very important to stop the run for this Ole Miss team. But even if you stop the run, you can look at, some of these other games. They just throw the ball. You know what I mean? If you stop the run, they can still just throw the ball. It's so weird because usually, stopping the run has a huge impact on an offense. And while it does affect the ability that, they can't then do a play action, which they like to do. And obviously you lose a bit of the significance with that play action. They're still throwing dots all over the field. I mean, look at the Georgia game. They weren't really able to run it in the Georgia game, and Jackson Dart goes off. Arkansas, they didn't even run for a lot of yards on the ground, and he
Right.
threw for like over 500 yards passing in that game. So you don't really need to run the ball when you could just throw the ball all over us, and that's what I'm a little worried about with how our secondary, how beat up they are. I think Jason Marshall's going to continue to be out. I think Devin Moore will continue to be out, and we need some of these young guys to step up. So that's something I'm a little worried about. I did say, when you look at Jackson Dart and his completion percentage, or his rating at least, it goes from 75 down to 65. 75 is when he does play action. 65 is when he doesn't do play action. So he's a lot more comfortable doing play action. He sees the field a little bit better. So if, like you said, if we could take away the run game, which will then take away some of that play action, we have then a chance, to kind of hurt Jackson Dart a little bit, make him a little bit uncomfortable with that. So that's just something to look at. The pass blocking for Ole Miss has not been great as of recent. So that's something to look at there. We could definitely get to the quarterback, and we've been getting a lot of sacks recently. I mean, getting a lot of pressure on them. Kentucky got a lot of pressure on Jackson Dart in that game. They brought a lot of blitzes and a lot of stunts up front, and that's what led to Kentucky winning that football game. Jackson Dart was very uncomfortable in that game because of the pressure on him. So if we can get to Jackson Dart, that's going to be huge for this Gator defense. And I mean, you look at, they've allowed 20 sacks this year. That's an average per game. So that's something to look at. And Florida is 26th in the country for getting sacks. So that with 27 on the year. So look, that's gonna be key to the game. I would say on offense. Or on defense for us is get in the backfield, right? Get some sacks, disrupt Jackson Dart. Because I do think we can stop the run, but man, if we can get back there and just make him uncomfortable, get back there. We've seen what happens when that's the case. And by the way, the Kentucky game was at home for Ole Miss. They were in the Grove,
Yeah.
right? And he was still super uncomfortable with how much pressure was getting back there. So think about it. If it's early in the fourth quarter, and we're getting to Jackson Dart, there's already won't back down, just played the crowds into it, and he doesn't have time in the pocket, and his pocket's breaking down, and the crowd's yelling. They're super loud. That can be a situation on Saturday. So, and even though it is a 12, a noon game, which kind of does suck, the crowd will still be in it and will be there. So that is just something to look for when it comes to that. And yeah, I mean, the only other thing I got to say about this Ole Miss offense is, Jackson Dart loves to throw down the field. Doesn't have a lot of behind the line of scrimmage passes. His best grade is passes 10 to 20 yards between the numbers. So kind of similar to Garrett Nussmeier, but the only difference is his down the field passes past 20 yards are insane as well. His passing grades are like in the 90s still, past the 20-yard mark. So he doesn't really have any tendency that jumps out at me in that sense. He just loves to throw the football. And like I said, if you go on PFF, look at this guy's passing ratings. They're all like 90s, high 80s. It is unbelievable. I haven't seen a quarterback like this so far looking at the PFF. So it's extremely scary. I will say this. I don't think Jackson Dart is a great quarterback in college. I think he's obviously putting up great numbers, but a lot of that has to do with the scheme that Lane Kiffin is running. He's like 4 years in the system now under Lane Kiffin, and he is he's comfortable with this offense. But like I said, when Jackson Dart gets rattled, he does not read the field well at all, and he throws some tough throws sometimes, and some throws he probably wants back. So that's my key, like I said, to the for the Gator defense is to get back there. Another key on this Gator defense, like I said, is to hold Jackson Dart to under 300 yards passing. In both of his losses against LSU and Kentucky, he was held to under 300 yards passing. So if we can make that happen, and Lagway can, like I said, get up to around 300 yards passing, I think we're in a great football game, and the Florida Gators have a great chance to win this game. So that's going to be hard to do because, like I said, they have some really big guys on the outside. And, with LSU had like one guy in Lacey that they liked to throw the ball to, right? Well, here's the bad thing. Ole Miss has like four guys that they like to throw the ball to. They have, four guys pretty much under 500 yards receiving, with one guy, with three guys over 600 yards and one guy coming on 1,000 yards receiving this year. They're all averaging over 16 yards a catch. It's going to be very hard to hold them 10 to 300, but if we can do that, we have a good chance of winning this football game. So I think I know that was a lot, but thanks for sitting through my monologue, EJ. But I think that those are going to be the keys for our Gator defense against this Ole Miss offense.
Great keys, wonderful keys, my friend, beautiful keys. So we're gonna have to, Napier talked about complimentary football a few weeks ago. We're about to play complimentary football. Well, that's what we're gonna have to freaking do in this game to win, because we're gonna have to play defense with the offense. Keeping Ole Miss off the field, because they're not going to do like LSU and be out there the whole game and not score. Okay. So from a run defense standpoint, just look at this stat on PFF. We have two guys that are upper echelon run stoppers. Pup Howard, who did not play, and Tyreek Sapp in the 80s. Ole Miss has 11 guys in the 80s when it comes to upper echelon run defense. They stop the run with their safeties. They got two guys that come down and really plug the line. Trey Washington and John Sanders, two safeties, kind of reminding you of Matt Elam and Keanu Neal a little bit with their ability to come down and stop the run. And when we're running the ball, what PFF is telling us is this guy named Walter Nolan that they got on their D line, wherever he is, we need to go the opposite direction. So that's what it's telling us.
Yeah.
So we've got to figure out a strategy to maintain possession of the ball, keep Lagway clean. And I really think it's going to come from a philosophy that I haven't really seen us do that well. But this looks like a game where quick wide receiver screens or quick passes to the running backs to get that defensive front seven chasing vertically, get them a little worn out, get them a little tired. If they're running, having to chase, hey, that's a run game. So can we run the ball by throwing quick screens? I haven't seen Lagway do that much, but it seems like Ole Miss might be susceptible to that, if we can do that. And then the other thing when it comes to our defense, without Marshall and Moore, it seems like we're just playing this umbrella, pillow soft defense and just saying, hope we can get to you before you figure out who's open.
Yeah.
So Jackson Dart knows who's open. Trust me. That's what these numbers say. And we're going to have to get after him and we're going to have to get pressure on him. And somebody is going to have to spy. If he starts run, he ain't Nussmeier. He'll get back there. Oh, nobody's open. Instant sack.
Yep.
No, he is going to run the ball straight ahead for 6, 7, 8 yards, which is why their offense is materially better than LSU's. So can we have an Aaron Gates or Gums put him in there? Spy over the middle, and can we get pressure on the outside against the tackles? If not, it's gonna be very difficult in this game. It's gonna be very similar to the Texas game. But when you saw that Texas this last game they played against Arkansas, Arkansas had high value possessions. They were able to keep the ball. Texas also has a top 5 defense, just like Ole Miss. We were able to run the ball. We just refused to do it.
Yeah.
So I really think at home, we will be successful running the football with our three-headed monster and DJ Lagway. But what I would do is power run and then do quick screens to the outside, get it to Mizell, get it to whoever's out there. We don't have Wilson, but hey, throw it to DK. He's a punt returner. Throw quick screens.
Yep.
Let that be an extension of your run game. Get that defensive line chasing and see what you can come up with. And then what you could do is you could hit them with a pump fake, quick screen, and then hit them deep. Because what you want to be able to do is you want that Ole Miss defense to think line of scrimmage and then go over the top. But when you're losing 14, 15, 21, 0, that probably ain't going to happen. So we got to have that type of mentality. And I think if that's the game plan, I think we'll have a good shot.
Yeah, I'm with you. It really just comes down to just staying in the game. Staying in the game is going to be key, man. Because like you said, it opens up so many different things. The crowd will be, it's going to open up a lot. So,
and Lane Kiffin, I forgot to say this. Lane Kiffin wants to win this game, people.
oh yeah,
Okay, because he wants the Gator job. But people are saying he wants the Gator job. He wants the job. He wants to show the Gators that he's the better coach and you got a bum coach and look at me, I'm the Ferrari and y'all are driving a Ford Focus broke down from 2003. Okay? So we need to Billy Napier, hopefully the nice guy, the gloves come off. Okay? Because I feel like this is gonna be an ugly game. Oh, and by the way, one last thing. Run the ball directly at Uman Mielen. Okay? I know he's a great pass rusher and all that, but we need to face plant him and run it down his throat. Now, hopefully Walter Nolan's not on the same side as him, but that's what we need to do because that's a guy that's going to want to come and do something in this game. So there you go.
all right. Yeah, that's yeah. That whatever we can do, man. It's gonna be a wild one. Yeah, I don't have much else to say here. Other than all the keys that we hit. EJ, anything else you want to add?
I
before we do the game prediction?
hate this is at noon, but
Yeah, yeah.
because it's at 9 a.m. for us, so we're just like,
That's
okay,
brutal, dude.
mimosas.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, yeah, yeah. That's let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and do this game prediction. I'll go first because I know you went first last time. Um, I think the Gators are going to fight very hard in this game. I think that you're going to see the same team that we've seen the past couple weeks in this game. I just think because our secondary is so beat up, because they have so many weapons, I think that Jackson Dart will go over 300 yards passing, and I just think they're going to be able to throw the ball. And I think Ole Miss is going to have a final score of 34-24. I think they're going to be able to score and move the ball down the field and run the ball on us as well. I think we're going to fall apart in that sense because our run defense has not been the best as of late. So I think that Ole Miss is going to win 34-24 on Saturday.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a very similar to what I was going to say.
Okay.
Um, I agree with you. I think we're going to show some fight. And this Ole Miss team is ideally the type of team that we want to be next year, statistically.
Yep.
Like a really good defense. We got go Louis Vuitton in the portal, get some D line. You got the great quarterback. You have all these great receivers. We can be explosive. They're the team that we want to be next year.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not next year right now. So I'm going to say we're able to score, but I'm going to go 41-31. I think we're 31 points against Ole Miss is going to be great. I think that's going to be, people are going to be like, wow, they put up 31 points on Ole Miss. But I just don't, I think Ole Miss will just consistently stay in front. And I think when we have a chance to potentially come back, one of those errant throws from Lagway, I'm praying he doesn't do it, but I just have a feeling we're going to have an errant throw, and that's going to be the difference in the game when we would have otherwise had a chance to potentially tie it. And then Ole Miss is just going to boost the lead a little bit more. So I'm going to go 41-31 Ole Miss. But I think watching this game, people are going to say, you know what? That Florida team, they got something going on down there.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be some respect. Put some respect on our name in
Yes,
Gainesville.
sir. Yeah. No, I totally see that happening too, man. And listen, another big thing that if we can win the turnover battle, I think that's going to be huge too. You know, I mean, if we can have Jackson Dart throw a pick, or they fumbled in the past, if we can make them fumble the ball, that's going to be huge for us. You know what I mean? So I agree. I do see Lagway. One of these throws are not going to work for him. He's had a few rough ones. So we'll see. We'll see. But those we're pretty we're on the same page when it comes to those picks. So there you go. You guys let us know your prediction down below, man. Just comment right now. Let us know your final score. Do you think the Gators will get it done? Do you think the Gators won't, and why? I'm praying. I'm hoping, baby. Let's hope we're doing good and we come out the game healthy. I'm with you there. All right, week 12 picks. Man, I suck times 2 now. This is 2 weeks in a row. Not doing great, man. It's not fun. We had 5 games this past week. I went 1-4. EJ went 2-3. So you got me there. You got me there. You're sneaking up. You're sneaking up, which makes us all time. I'm 17-20. You're 14-23. So this might be your redemption week right here, EJ. But let's talk about last week's picks, man. We started out Clemson at Pitt. Clemson favored by 10.5. And I picked Clemson. You picked Pitt. You picked Pitt to cover, and they did. Pitt only loses by 4 points. Really should have won this game, but K. Klubnik has that last second huge run that he had for that score late. So really crazy game. Should have been Pitt's game to win it. By the way, they had a backup quarterback in who played pretty well in this game. Nate Yarnell. And it just everything kind of started falling apart late, man. But a really hard fought game by Pitt.
Yeah, Pitt having the backup quarterback in there kind of scared me a little bit, but Clemson just this was a good matchup for Pitt. Clemson is not a team that is explosive down the field like they used to, and I think from that standpoint, I think Pitt was going to be able to keep it close. But yeah, Pitt probably should have won this game. Um, Klubnik, that last second run was all over ESPN. It's probably a Sports Center top 10
It's
for him.
crazy, crazy.
But man,
Wild game. Wild game. Next one we have Arizona State at Kansas State. We both picked Kansas State. They were favored by 6.5. They go down to Arizona State. Arizona State, I didn't have this one pulled up. Oh no, I did. Yeah, Arizona State now 8-2. They win 24-14 by 10 points in this game, man. Look, this Kansas State team isn't a horrible team, but it really comes down to Avery Johnson, a guy that obviously started in the Pop-Tart Bowl in the last season, which I was at here in Orlando. I went to that game, and he just went off in that game, and everybody's like, this is the next guy. He's been on and off this year. This game, basically goes 50% on completion percentage for 258 yards and 2 interceptions. So the interceptions have been a problem. Kansas State's been shooting themselves in the foot a lot this season, and somehow are still, they're not going to be ranked anymore, but somehow we're still ranked coming into this game. But Arizona State now 8-2 will definitely be ranked in the Tuesday night college football playoff rankings. Big game by them. What do you think about Arizona State and this team, EJ?
oh yeah, I kind of feel like whenever you give us games to pick, it's a setup because it's kind of it's like I'm just like, okay, Kansas State should really win this game. They're playing at home, but it's just one of those weird turnover-prone games. Avery Johnson turning the ball over inexplicably. Arizona State really wasn't a team that forced a lot of turnovers coming in. Time of possession was almost 2-1 for Arizona State in this game, wearing out the Kansas State defense, unable to get off the field on third down. 9 out of 15 third down conversions for Arizona State. Those were big. Um, Kansas State did run the ball well in the game. They just went away from it and ended up throwing a crucial interception. So this was one of those games where if you replayed it, Kansas State probably would win. I mean, they look like the better team, but it's just one of those games, man.
Yeah.
You can't get over the hump.
Bro, Jordan Tyson, the receiver, 12 receptions for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's insane. Crazy
Yeah.
game for him on Arizona State. Yeah, great game by them, man. They'll be ranked. They've had one hell of a season, so yeah, props to them finally getting on people's radars. Next game. SMU, Boston College at SMU. SMU favored by 15.5. They win 38-28, but this was a close game and a hard-fought game by Boston College. It was 14-20 at half, and SMU comes out and just outscores them in the second half. But man, what a game this was. We talked about this. We both picked SMU to cover, and yeah, they barely just don't. And that sucks. One more touchdown, we would have been there, EJ. Would have been there, man. Yeah, great game by SMU. SMU showing what they can do when they have I would say that this was a trap game setup. You know what I'm saying? It really was. People were talking about it. The whole world knew about it. We talked about it as well, saying that it wouldn't surprise us if Boston College did come and do something. But the big thing with me is the Boston College quarterback, their starting quarterback, got hurt. He was out. Well, the backup that came in did pretty well. He was 18 of 32, 237 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So yeah, good game by him on stepping up into this game.
Yeah, Boston College is just one of those teams that um, they're tough to beat because they don't beat themselves. They don't turn it over. They don't commit boneheaded penalties. They're just a solid team. Um, but SMU, man, Jennings, this quarterback, I don't know if he's in the Heisman running, but he's having a really good year. Um, And, I can't, if you were to think about, okay, we're redoing the ACC, we're putting SMU in here, we're putting Cal and who else? Cal and Stanford, I think.
Yeah.
Which one? And you're going to say a team is going to go 12-1 this year in the ACC. Who do you think is going to be? And if you get it right, I'm going to give you $1 million. Nobody's getting $1 million because nobody's picking SMU to be the 12-1 team.
Especially the way they started this year. Do you remember that? They started
Right.
rough. They had that quarterback situation. They didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. It was a weird thing, man.
And they should have lost to Nevada in the opening game.
Crazy
Uh,
game.
but they've come out and they did lose that one game to BYU, but um, they've just been a solid team. Had the close game with Duke at Virginia. Cal, can they close it out 8-0 in the ACC? Man, this is gonna be an interesting race. But yeah, solid game from Boston College, but SMU just a little too much.
Yep. Yep. Crazy. Next game. This was the big upset of the weekend. Kansas at BYU. BYU favored by 2.5. We talked about this. Do you remember? You and I sat, EJ, and we were like, man, this is a really low spread here. This is kind of weird, kind of interesting to look at. Well, Kansas goes in and they get the win, man, 17-13. I watched this game last night while I was watching UFC, man. And oh my God, it was so back and forth this entire game. What it really comes down to was a punt situation. And what it was is Jaden Daniels, the quarterback for Kansas, Jalen Daniels, sorry, did like one of those like little boot things with the quarterback, and he booted it. It was actually a pretty good punt. It landed at like the 10. When it landed, it hit a BYU player in the helmet, and they were like, "Oh God, we got to recover this." So then another BYU player goes up, tries to get it, but when he tries to scoop it up, he just like flings it toward the goal line. He probably wishes it would have been a touchback, but he flings it toward the goal line, and then a Kansas player jumps on it at like the 3-yard line, and Kansas has possession at the 2 to 3 yard line, and then get the touchdown late to win the game. Unbelievable ending, man. It was crazy. And just some other unfortunate things happened for BYU in this game, because Kansas really didn't even play all that great. It was a very like back and forth, a very physical game. But now Kansas, I mean, 2 really good games in a row, I believe. Yeah, they beat Iowa State, and now coming in and oh, by the way, almost beat Kansas State. And then comes in and beats Iowa State and now BYU. So one of the games on our Week 13 picks is now Colorado has to come to Kansas for a big matchup in the Big 12. So that's something to look at. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, huge game here. What do you think about this game, EJ?
Yeah, don't make me do any more picks with freaking Kansas, okay? So the computers love Kansas because when you look at their underlying stats, this is a team that, again, they shouldn't be 2-6 or whatever they were coming into this game. They were more indicative of a team that was 500 or maybe even a game above 500, at least statistically. Um, but yeah, the boneheaded, I don't know if the ball actually touched when they punted the ball. I never could tell if it actually touched someone. And so then the BYU player looked like he came off the sideline and jumped after and touched the ball. I was like, dude, if you're going to jump on the freaking ball, recover it.
Yeah.
Okay? Recover it. And so he punched the ball to the goal line, and then Kansas recovered it. And I'm telling you, it's those Toucan Sam helmets. Ever since they started wearing those Toucan Sam
Yeah.
helmets, Kansas is doing something. So, statistically, this is going to be another close game. I'd probably say Colorado's probably going to be at least I think you have it.
Yeah, I have it.
Touchdown point favorite. Um, but yeah, Kansas, wow,
2.5.
2.5.
It's crazy.
I
It's
can't pick
FanDuel.
it. I can't
That's
pick it.
crazy. It's
I can't
crazy.
pick it. But yeah, but Kansas just Daniels, their quarterback is really good. Just another one of those teams that just when they have the ball, they make the most of it. And that's just how they were able to win this game and played pretty good defense.
Yeah, man. I mean, just shutting up a BYU crowd. It was crazy, man. BYU's had so much magic this season, it ran out. And Kansas has
Yeah.
gotten screwed over so much this season. They finally, got over that hump. So it was kind of a cool little movie kind of storybook ending right there. Uh, next one we have, we by the way both picked BYU, so that one hurts. Next one, Tennessee at Sanford Stadium at Georgia in Athens. Georgia favored by 10.5. Georgia gets the win, 31-17. They cover. We both picked Georgia to cover. Was this game was unbelievable, man. I don't even know really where to start. Number one, what a great game plan by both teams. The game plan by Josh Heupel and this Tennessee offense was actually really good. It put Nico in a comfortable situation. What Josh Heupel wants to do, and this is something we saw with Hendon Hooker and what he did with UCF and whatever as an offense coordinator as well. He loves to run and then throw bombs down the field. I mean, he loves to just bring those safeties up just a little bit and then throw bombs down the field. And they like to be fast paced to where you don't know what's happening. Are they going to run? Are they going to throw a bomb down the field? The guys aren't set, then they hike the ball and then throw it. You don't know what's going on. That is what Josh Heupel's offense is. And they came into this game with a very different game plan. Instead of taking shots down the field, which they did maybe once in this game, they did these short little tiny passes for Nico, little dump offs, little slants, little quick drags, and they got him comfortable with that. And they actually consistently were moving the ball down the field. Also ran the ball really well in this game with Dylan Sampson over 100 yards rushing. And it was a really good game plan by Tennessee. The problem is when you have that kind of fighting down the field type of drive, that's gonna work and that can be consistent. But when you have an explosive offense, that's even better. And Georgia showed that. Carson Beck, man, had a pretty solid game. 347 for 2 touchdowns. They were able to run the ball a little bit with Nate Frazier. I actually really like him as a running back. He's pretty solid. But yeah, man, I mean, great game plan by Georgia. Really being patient and waiting for those opportunities down the field. And Carson Beck obviously using his legs as well. Every game he's actually used his legs successfully. They've had really good games. And no interceptions by Carson Beck. This is the Georgia offense you see when he doesn't make mistakes. Even against Florida, those interceptions that he threw, he was driving down the field before he threw those interceptions. So just a really good game, man. Crazy. This Georgia team's a scary one.
Yeah, this was just not a good matchup for Tennessee. I mean, statistically, Tennessee is a team that they've won with their defense. Their offense really, when you just look at all the games they played, I can't really say their offense was the reason they won this game. Defensively, um, Georgia is a much more balanced team with their offense. And if Beck steps up and doesn't turn the ball over, um, they're just a better offensive and defensive complementary football team than Tennessee. But to your point, I think Heupel had a good game plan, which is very similar to what we need to be doing against Ole Miss. Quick passes, use that as the running game. But Carson Beck had a first down run in this game where he kind of lowered his shoulder and like bulldozed into the Tennessee defense and got a first down. And from that point on, the teams started to play hard for him, like on the defense. And that's what I mean. Like the defense, even though they're not playing offense, when the quarterback is he's given us some hope, the defense will come out there and play really well, and they shut him out in the second half. So Yeah, this just wasn't a good matchup for Tennessee, but this is a game that man, the SEC. This is why I don't like having divisions because it's like, who the hell is going to be in the SEC championship game?
Yeah.
And there's controversy. We need a BCS computer for the SEC championship game. We need a playoff. We need a 4-team playoff for the SEC championship.
Yeah, this is no, this is something that me and EJ were actually talking about. We're like, because we were talking about how the playoff system's an absolute joke right now and how they have 80s in the commission. It's insane. And what we're saying is like, yeah, let's get the BCS, bring the computer generated stuff back with the playoff. That'd be amazing. Like, think about it. There was more. I mean, listen, were there some teams that got screwed over in the BCS era? 100%. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that there was only 2 teams. So now that you have more teams, try that out. I don't know, just to,
Yeah.
something to think about. But yeah, no, I agree, man. It's the SEC is crazy, and I think the better team won on Saturday for sure.
Yep.
I'm with you. And then 2 other games that. So, anyways, like I said, and that's the 5 games we picked. I ended up 1-4. EJ 2-3. But the 2 games we didn't pick, I want to talk about. You have Oregon at Wisconsin. I actually almost did pick this one. I don't know how much Oregon was favored by, but Oregon, number 1 in the country, goes into Badger Stadium, which, by the way, has a secretly like really good atmosphere. And yeah, they struggle, man. They win 16-13. Oregon comes back and scores 10 points in the 4th quarter. They were down in this game for a long time, man. And finally, Dylan Gabriel. What I love about watching him play is he scrambles outside the pocket and just magic happens every single time. It's so weird. He's almost better when he scrambles out to his left, and he throws dots. Also, Jordan James, one of the best running backs in the country for Oregon, had a really good game. Wisconsin, Braden Locke, not good at the quarterback's position, but Oregon needs to do something about stopping this run, man. Boise State, of course, you have Ashton Genty running all over him, but there's been a couple games that Oregon has played where they just cannot stop the run. Something to look at once they make it to the Big Ten championship and once they make it to the playoffs. If you can run on Oregon, you have a chance to win, and this game proved it with Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Luke Fickle. Luke freaking Fickle. Wait, is that the guy's name? The
Yeah.
head coach?
Yep.
I really want listen. I'm gonna give that guy a piece of my mind because you said the stat that I really love. Why the heck? He's like Billy Napier. Dude, your quarterback cannot complete any passes. Meanwhile, when you turn around and hand the ball off, oh, we're miraculously gaining yards. The same thing in the Penn State game. You lost 2 games in a row against highly ranked teams that you probably could have won if you would have just ran the ball.
Yep.
And I don't really know what this guy's doing, but every time they go drop back to throw, the other team is like, oh, thank God they're not running it. So I don't know what Luke Fickle is going through, but until you get a quarterback that can complete passes, you need to run it. But yeah, Oregon, I think this was just a game where it was kind of like a Miami performance for them, where it's kind of like, yeah, we know we have a game, but we're not really going to show up and play that hard because we should be able to beat Wisconsin. And then they found themselves in a dogfight that they probably should have lost if Luke Fickle would have ran the ball more.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, it'll be an interesting game. Oregon, they're gonna be in the top 4. Um, and they got a great brand, and they got the Nike deal, and everybody NIL, and everybody wants to see them up there. But I just don't think this team would be 11-0 if they had to play Georgia's schedule or Florida's schedule or.
No.
So they did beat Ohio State. So let's give them that. But even that was 31-32.
Well, and
So
Ohio State's looked. This is a weird year for college football because even Ohio State's looked vulnerable at a lot of times, man. I mean, you
yeah.
go back to the Nebraska games, a really good example, and even Penn State. They just don't look like a complete team. It's weird. It's weird.
True, true. But good game. Hey, able to win a game that you kind of slept walk through. Um, so we'll see what happens.
There you go. Um, Sweet. So there you go. Those are actually no one more game I want to talk about too. South Carolina and Missouri. I watched the ending of this game. I didn't watch the whole game, but I did watch the ending. It was a 4th and 5. Brady Cook, man, game on the line. Like literally like what, a minute left in the game. Brady Cook drops back and throws an absolute dime. And when I mean dime, it was a one-hand catch on 4th and 5 by the receiver, runs it in for a touchdown with a few seconds left. Let me see the receiver's name. Luther Burden, their number one target. 37-yard bomb by Brady Cook, man. It was beautiful. They're up 30-7 on a 2-point conversion attempt that they made. So now it's 30-27, and they only have like a minute to get down the field. South Carolina does. And dude, they hit a wide open guy on a crosser, and then they have Raheem Sanders, the running back, with a 15-yard run. They call it a pass, but it's a run. Dude broke like 8 tackles and ran over guys. It was an unreal finish with 15 seconds left. They win it. What a game this was, man, because it looked like South Carolina was going to run away with this game. And then they kind of fall apart a little bit in the second half and then they get a nice little comeback, man. So Williams-Brice Stadium, I heard, was rocking. The announcers were saying like the whole stadium was shaking. It was crazy.
Wild game. Yeah, South Carolina, let me tell you, their coach and Billy Napier, I think, are on the same level, but South Carolina uh has been a little bit more advantageous with their schedule and have played a little bit, haven't had as many injuries. Um, this was a wild game. I mean, man, Missouri, it's karma because we had a 4th and 17 against you last year and we boneheaded, didn't blitz, and you got it and
Unreal.
you beat us.
Unreal.
Now you come back, you take the lead with a minute to go. Okay, first of all, there should be no scenario where you let them come down the field in 47 seconds. Okay. This is not Patrick Mahomes back here. But Lenore Sellers, hey, guy's playing out of his mind.
Playing amazing. Playing amazing, dude. No, he's so fast. Like, you can't sack him. That's the thing. Like, they don't even block good. It's just you can't sack the guy because he's so elusive back there. It's insane. It's so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch. So yeah, there you go. Those were the games from this past week, and there was also Texas at Arkansas. Really hard fought game, but Texas kind of pulls away late. I didn't really watch any of that game. Did you watch that, EJ?
Which one?
Texas and Arkansas.
Oh yeah, I did watch a little bit of it. Everyone last week was, oh, Texas, there's Heisman Ewers, oh, their national championship. Look what they did against Florida. And I'm like telling people like the Florida performance, yeah, but that was fool's gold. Like that was not, you should not be looking at that game being like, oh yeah, Texas is great. Arkansas is kind of how the game would have looked if we had DJ Lagway in the game, because now we can actually score. We actually moved the ball over 300 something yards against them with Warner.
Yeah.
So we could score with Lagway, and now our defense, when they go out there, they're not like, oh, well, guess we got to come out here and get mossed because we don't have an offense that can score. It would have been that's how the game would have gone had Lagway been in the game. But Arkansas had the ball late in that game. I think they were down by a touchdown. And I'm like, uh-oh. If they get down here and score, it's a little, you're getting a little anxious if you're a Texas fan. And then, of course, like clockwork, Arkansas fumbled it and Texas recovered and the game's over. So, just typical.
That's brutal. That's not fun. I love to hear that. Cool. 1 second, let me get this pulled up. yeah, that's kind of all the games from this past weekend. Really fun week, man. I mean, the slate itself looked not good, looked pretty bad, but every time that happens, man, something crazy goes on. So, all right. This upcoming week 13, it's crazy to think we're already on week 13, man. We have some fun games to talk about. Game 1, we're starting off strong here. Indiana, game of the week, college game day at Ohio State. Ohio State favored by 10.5. EJ, how do you feel about this one, man? Let me hear your thoughts.
Oh man, I was trying to pull up um our little stats here, but let me tell you something. Everybody's been saying Signetti, Signetti spaghetti. Um, oh, Signetti spaghetti. Uh, he's a great coach. It's a chance to prove it in this game. Ohio State is a football team that um, outclasses Indiana top to bottom, every position when it comes to recruiting, finances, revenue per whatever. Ohio State's top notch. This game should not be close, but I think this game will be close. I'm gonna say Indiana covers, but I think Ohio State will still win the game, but I'm gonna say Indiana covers.
I like that. Yeah, look, man, everything in my heart wants um, to pick Indiana to win this football game. They've just, I just don't know how much longer they can keep up this magic for. You know what I'm saying? This is a team that was 3-9 last year. Now they're 10 wins, right? It's
Yeah.
unbelievable, man. What they've been able to do this year, and I do like Curtis O'Rourke, bro, and I don't know, man. I think this is going to be, it's one of those games you just don't know what to expect from Indiana, right? They haven't had a challenge like this year yet. And they've done a good job getting through each week. Obviously had a tough one not long ago, but I'm going to do the same thing. I think Ohio State wins this game because they have to, because the expectations, they already lost against Oregon. Can they win another, or can they lose another? Probably not. Their fans will be super pissed. So I'm gonna say Indiana is gonna put up a good fight. I think they cover as well, but I have Ohio State winning this football game, but I have Indiana covering. So I like your pick there. Next one we have BYU at Arizona State. Arizona State favored by 3.5. Is BYU gonna take their second loss of the season in a row? This is a big one. Look, man, Arizona State at home has played pretty well this year. BYU, it's hard to talk about this game because we have not seen BYU after a loss, obviously, right? We haven't seen them really face that adversity, right, yet this season. Arizona State, just a very balanced team. I'm going to have I think Arizona State wins this game, and I think they cover. I think they win by a touchdown. I think BYU starts to fall apart.
Beautiful pick. I think BYU has been on a little bit of a decline. They start off the season great, and it's all about who finishes strong. And I think Arizona State is just peaking at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say Arizona State uh will win the game. And man, see, they picked these points for a reason. I'm gonna go Arizona State to cover.
There you go. I like that. Good pick. Next one we have probably the game I'm looking most forward to this weekend, or one of the games I'm looking most forward to. Colorado at Kansas. This is Big 12 implications, man. This is a huge game. Kansas can come in here and really mess with Colorado. Colorado favored by 2.5 at Kansas. Look, Kansas, a team that has a lot of momentum right now, man. Absolutely killing it as of recent. A team that, like you said, probably should have like six wins, right? 7 wins at this point. They're there's so many games that they lost by like a field goal or a couple points. And that's what makes that 2.5 number so hard, right? Because like they've lost a lot of games by 2 or 3 points. Um, Look, my thing with Colorado is they have been Colorado this year. I mean, just so consistent. Obviously, running the football, they've done okay with, but it's really throwing the ball down the field. I mean, an 88 on the passing grade scale, on PFF. Kansas. The thing is with them is it's like, look, they've finally got over that hump of like being able to win a close game. So can they win a close game with Colorado here? I don't know. I think Travis Hunter is in the middle of his Heisman run. I got Colorado winning this game and covering, but not by a lot. Like I think this is probably going to be a 3-point game, maybe 6-point game.
These freaking Toucan Sam helmets. I'm gonna go Colorado in this game to cover. I just think they're on a roll right now. They're confident. The Heisman Trophy candidate, Travis Hunter, is going to make a game-changing play in this game that will be the difference in the point differential.
Yep.
I do think Kansas will hold Colorado from scoring in the 40s. I think they'll be like mid 30s, but I'm going to say 37-30. So I'm going to go Colorado will win this game and cover.
Poor Kansas. They just keep getting beat up. Next one we have Army at Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored by 16.5, but this is an undefeated Army team right now, man. Really haven't been tested too much this year, but do have some pretty good wins against teams like Air Force and really that's it. They haven't played too great, but you can't really do much with this schedule. They've been winning when they're supposed to win, and they've won by a lot of points in some of these games. So number 16 Army coming off of a win against North Texas at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a team that is looking good, right? But their best win, I guess, is the Texas A&M game early. But was that the same Texas A&M group? I don't know. The stats, everything shows that Notre Dame will win this game. Will they win by 3 scores though? I'm gonna say that this is gonna be. Screw it. Why not? Let's have some fun. I have Army covering. I think Army's going to keep it under 16.5. There's no reason for it. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
everything's pointing toward Notre Dame covering, man. Like the PFF and everything, it's so lopsided.
Yeah, I'm going to go Notre Dame to cover in this game. I just think when you look at this Army team, man, 9-0, running the ball as well as they do, and when they throw it, they actually have a great opportunity. When it comes to Army, it's all about what the score is after the end of the first quarter. Because if it's close, the game's going to probably end up playing out being close. If not, it's going to be I think Notre Dame may cover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Notre Dame because I think value from a possession standpoint, Notre Dame will probably end up with more points per possession. And by the end of the game, it's going to end up being, a 17, 18-point win. So I'm going to go Notre Dame. I'm going to go Notre Dame to cover. If it was not in South Bend, I'd probably go Army, but Notre Dame.
There you go. That's the smarter pick. Iowa State favored by 6.5 at Utah. Utah, a team that they've been fighting, man. They've always what's the coach's name? Been there for years. Obviously ever since Urban left, so he's been there for over like 20 years. Every single year, his team is physical. They're aggressive. They fight, and look, man, they're playing an Iowa State team that has just been falling apart as of recent, right? And if you're Utah, guess what? Their run defense is not great, and you don't have a quarterback if you're Utah. So what do? Run the ball, baby. I expect Utah to run the ball here. I think that they cover. I don't know if they win, but they definitely cover here. So I got Utah.
Ooh, you're gonna go Utah.
Yep.
Anytime I got any team from Iowa, I do not trust them. But how it ends up working is if I pick Iowa State to cover, Utah covers. If I pick Utah to cover, Iowa State that's literally what's going to happen.
Yep.
But, you know, I think Utah will play really hard in this game, but I do think Iowa State will win it by exactly one touchdown. So I'm going to go Iowa State to cover. And I'm going to see if something can happen. Can they please Matt Campbell? You're on every year. You're past your prime now, but back in the day, you were one of the hot coaches.
Uh-huh.
And can you come through? If you can cover, you'll get the next big job. If you can't, you're going to be at Iowa State for the rest of your career, my friend.
There you go. Iowa State. You got Iowa State there. Next game we have final two games. Bama favored by 13.5 at Oklahoma. I don't really have to talk about this one too much. I think it's going to be an easy win for Bama. I think they easily win by 2 scores. It's a weird matchup. You know, you don't really think of like Bama and Oklahoma playing each other, so that's kind of strange. Oklahoma just, with all the injuries and stuff, man, it's just been a rough year for them. Jackson Arnold kind of making a comeback. But yeah, Bama's just too good, man. They're on a roll right now. They wanna make this playoff. So I got Bama winning this game by definitely over 13.5.
Ooh. Oklahoma is just one of those teams that can stick around. Um, they stuck around Ole Miss. They get destroyed by Texas. Um, ooh. And Oklahoma's coming off a bye. Um, hmm. Alabama's definitely going to win this game, but I'm going to pick Oklahoma to keep it close. But will they keep it within? Give me Bama by 2 touchdowns. Oklahoma. What's going to end up
He
happening is
folded.
it's going to be a 13-point game late in the game, and then Oklahoma's going to fumble it at the goal line, and then Bama's going to cover. And so, give me Bama.
There you go. Smart pick. Last game we have Vanderbilt at LSU. LSU favored only by 7.5. They got no faith in this team. Yeah, man. Look, Vanderbilt, a team that they have not been able to protect Pavia in the backfield, but Pavia just creates magic, right? I really like this Vanderbilt team, but LSU has a pretty scary front seven. They actually got some pressure on DJ a couple times in this game. Yeah, man, I think LSU's mad. You're going back to Death Valley. I think this is a night game as well. Yeah, I got LSU winning by a couple scores here.
So, it never goes the way we say it's going to go. And the question is, LSU, they've lost 3 in a row now. You got hammered by A&M because you didn't know how to stop a quarterback who just literally came off the bench and ran all over you. Then you played Bama and got slow roasted on your home field. Then you went to Gainesville and thought that you were all high and mighty and got beat when you had the ball twice as long. Now you got to come home and play Vandy. I do not believe that LSU is going to have the mentality that we need to win this game. I think Vandy is going to come in there and give them a run for their money. Now I'm picking LSU to win, but it's going to look like that Missouri South Carolina game where LSU they got to run through. You know how the tiger jumps through the fire hoops?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're gonna be jumping through fire hoops to win
Yeah.
this game late. Vandy covers.
There you go. All right. So we differed on 1, 2, and 3 picks. All right. So we differed
Wait,
on
which
3.
ones? Which ones?
It
Okay,
was
I
it
gotta
was
keep track of this.
yeah, it was the Utah and Iowa State, and the Vandy and LSU, and then Army and Notre Dame. Those are the 3 ones that we differed on.
Okay, so I picked Notre
You
Dame.
picked Notre Dame. I picked Army. You picked Iowa State. I picked uh, Utah. And then you picked Vanderbilt. Wait.
Yeah, I picked Vandy to cover.
Yes, yeah, and I picked LSU.
Okay, I kind of
Um,
like this because you know what? In all my picks, if I just make a pick and then just flip it to the other team, I would have been doing great.
that's true. No, that hey, listen. Honestly, like when I look at it, Notre Dame's probably gonna win. Iowa State could definitely get the win there, and Vanderbilt could like listen. I think you at least get me on 2 of these. That Vandy and LSU one's gonna be really close, but I think you definitely get me on the other 2. So this might be comeback season. You got a couple weeks. You got a couple weeks.
Ooh, ooh.
There you go. There you go. Um, so yeah, that's it, man. Those were our week 13 picks. Um, Man, it's gonna be one interesting weekend, man. Gonna start it off with the Florida. I mean, for you, it's in the morning. For me, it's 12 at noon, and you're gonna start off with a crazy game, Florida, or Ole Miss at Florida. And then we got some big time Big 12 implications, and obviously huge Big 10 game. Is that a noon kickoff, bro?
Which one? It's gotta
Indiana
be.
and Ohio State.
I hope not, because I want to watch our game.
It is, bro. It's a new. That's so stupid, bro. Why? Why do they do that? Like the noon kickoff is the dumbest. Like I want to see Ohio State Stadium at night. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to see Columbus, Ohio at night. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
looks like we're gonna have 2 TVs or YouTube TV with the dual screen. That's probably what I'll have going on. That really sucks, man. Anyway, really fun weekend, man. Really appreciate you guys. We might do a video talking about the college football playoff rankings on Tuesday night. I was thinking about that. I think that'd be pretty fun. And any updates, man, you guys follow us on our Instagram. YouTube is finally letting me link our Instagram in the description. It took me a couple weeks, but they finally accepted it. So the link will be down in the description below. Please go check out our Instagram. Yeah, we're posting all kind of updates there, EJ and me both. And yeah, anything you guys want to see, let us know. Anything you guys want us to introduce to this channel, to bring you guys some fun stuff, let us know. EJ, any last words?
We appreciate y'all. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Tell your
I think
friends.
tell your friends, and I think we gotta probably do um, a college football playoff or a revision of our conference champion picks
Yeah.
because that is. Let me tell y'all, these conferences now that it's just the top 2 teams, you need a playoff for the top 2 teams because in the SEC, it is going to be wild figuring out who the top. There are like 100 different scenarios right now, and we only have 2 weeks. And Texas versus Texas A&M. Can we just all agree that that is going to be the game that decides a lot here?
Yep.
Okay. Ole Miss, they probably should be. To me, the 2 best teams, at least on paper, are Texas and Ole Miss. But then you leave out Georgia and Alabama. So you're kind of like, well, who the hell should be in Atlanta? So this is going to be wild looking at the who comes out on top. And can't wait to do that. The ACC, I think, also is a really good, going to be a great
Yes.
down to the wire.
Yep.
Um, and then also
Heisman, Big
Heisman.
12. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah,
Unbelievable.
unbelievable. College football, we love it. We love it. We love it. And if anyone understands how they do the college football playoff, please put it in the description below because we think we understand it. And then they come out and explain it again, and it's like, what the heck is that? But at the end of the day, it is what it is this year. I think they're probably going to make some revisions, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll look up some of the rules, but yeah, I think what it is it's the okay, here we go. All right, they have a website. This is probably not going to help at all. All right. The 12 participating teams will be the 5 conference champions ranked highest by the CFP selection committee. Now, what that means is it's the 4, wait, but if it's the 4 Power 4, then why are people saying an SEC team couldn't make it?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, the committee, it should just be the top 4 Power 4 champions get an automatic bid into it. That makes it very easy to understand. But when you say the top 4 highest ranked conference champions, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because what if you're a conference champion that's not ranked? Is that even possible?
Yeah, I mean, if you like Mountain West, well, no, because I think that means Mountain West, Sun Belt. That 5th spot is one of the group of 5. Like,
okay, got it. So
yeah,
group of 5. Okay, so I think what that means is you're right. 5 conference champions. So the 5th conference champion, if they're ranked, will automatically get to go and will now the top 4 will get the top 4 seeds.
right,
But the 5th team gets an automatic bid based on how that's worded.
right,
Right?
right.
Okay, so they could be like 12 seed or whatever.
Yep.
But I think that's what they're saying. Okay, I think that's what they mean.
I just don't understand how would an SEC team not make it if it's the Power 4 conferences that are getting the was that guy just not understanding the rules?
Yeah, I think that guy wasn't understanding the rules.
Because like that's the only thing I don't understand. I get everything else, but like that's like the most confusing to me because I'm like, it's the 4 Power 4 conferences, whatever. I think we got it down. I think we're smart. I think we're on the right thing. That guy just, I don't know, he was just trying to cause controversy.
Yeah, he was causing controversy.
Yeah, the whole layout's so stupid that they need to figure something out, man. It's
I just think they need
unbelievable.
to go. I just think they need to go college basketball. Like you win the conference, you're in automatically.
Yeah,
But it doesn't necessarily mean you're a top 4 seed because let's say SMU wins the ACC, or let's say who the hell's going to win the Big 12?
could be Colorado, Arizona State.
Colorado.
Yeah,
Okay. If Colorado wins the Big 12 and they go as a number 4 seed, that doesn't make any sense to me because what if you have Ohio State or Oregon or Ole Miss? All 3 of those teams I would say are better than Colorado and should in theory be a higher seed, but they give it to Colorado just because they were the conference champion. I think if you're the conference champion, you should automatically get in, and that can be,
right,
your
right,
but you don't necessarily get the top 4 seed.
right.
I think that would be fair because there's gonna be, like if you are one of those teams that didn't win the conference championship, didn't even go to the conference championship game. If you go to the conference championship game and lose, okay, now they act like they want to drop you 10 spots out of the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you didn't go, they act like they want to move you up 10 spots. So it's kind of like is it a reward to even go to the conference championship game?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think they got to start. If you make the conference championship game, you're not penalized. And, uh, like in basketball, if you've done enough prior to the championship game of your tournament, you get in. But on some of those smaller leagues, they're only going to let one team in. So you
Right.
got to win that game. Um, but so I really think that that's how they should go. Oh, and last but not least, before I gotta go because I gotta do some work. Um, Basketball. So we had a big win over Florida State on Friday. We're 4-0 for the first time since like 10 years ago. And team is looking really good. Team is looking really good. I just think that they are not yet they haven't yet gelled enough to like get a good feel for each other yet. Walter Clayton Jr. is now he's playing the point guard this year, which is a little bit different. But now we got this guy called Urban Klavzar. Klavzar. Just call him the Czar. Just call him. This guy comes off the bench. He makes his first shot like it's nothing. And he only got in there for like 4 minutes against FSU. But this is going to be a guy that's going to light up the scoreboard. This is going to be a very, very fun team to watch this year. But every game kind of, there's something that falls through. Like either they don't rebound and then now they rebound. They turn it over 19 times in this game against FSU. They should have won this game by 30. But you turn it over 19 times. That's 19 shots that you could have shot. And then if you're shooting 52%, you can just do the math. Like, okay, let's say I only turn it over 10 times. That's another 10 points I could have scored just by the fact that I didn't turn it over.
Right.
So turnovers are going to be big. But they play Florida A&M this Tuesday, which is my other alma mater. So that'll be fun.
There you go.
And the next big game, I think, is against Wake Forest on Thanksgiving. Wake Forest beat us last year, so we got to come back and beat them. So that'll be good. The FSU fans were chanting some of those obscenities at Todd Golden, and not classy. Stay classy, FSU. But we shrugged it off, and we are doing great. So there you go.
Yes, sir. That's funny. Which, by the way, turns out that thing was a whole joke. Love that. But anyway, we do appreciate you guys, man. Cannot wait to see you next week. Enjoy Gator football on Saturday, baby.
Peace.
Last game in the swamp.